Hey everyone, this is your cncHD and welcome back to another World Builder video. This video is dedicated to all those who are new to the World Builder and want to get started with this tool and they don't know how to get started. In this video I'm going into detail what you should do and how to improve your mapping skills. Here in this example we have the gamereplace.org user Spectre Georgi, and he has posted his first map here on the website and is asking for tips and tricks how to improve his mapping skills. We also have some useful tips here by the staff members like Easy and Jundi. Thank you for that, you two. And yeah, now let's take a look at the map and see what we can do and how to improve that map. So here we have it. It's a crazy map, and we have on the bottom a supply here on the left, one on the middle, one on the right with 4 oil derricks, and we have the same thing on the top. We also have some tag buildings in the middle, 2 more oils, 2 more oil refineries, a few more buildings, and a few cliffs or attempts of cliffs. And we have the drop zone, drop pit. By the first look you will notice that the size of each player spawn is way too small. You can check that by going here to the 3 arrows and choose some buildings. For example, if we want to build a China base, we go to structures, here China structures, and there you can place random structures like you would place them in game. So let's do that. Maybe command center and Gatling, and let's maybe place a nuke. You'll see that there's not enough space. We have placed a few buildings and we already ran out of space, so that's a big problem, and you can see that better by hitting Ctrl and pressing F. This way you go into the bird view. You can also select it by clicking on view on the top and then clicking on show from top down view. If you hit that, it will change back. So Ctrl and F, that's your hotkey you will need. Helps a lot while building maps. Okay, this is a problem, really huge problem. We need more space for the players, otherwise it will get boring very quick. So let's delete these buildings, and I will show you a way how to increase the size of the map. You don't have to start all over again with the map. You can just go to File, you can click on Resize, and here you change the values of your vertical and horizontal direction. So for the horizontal we have 150, that's way too small as we can see, so we double that up, or almost double it up, and make it maybe 280. And the vertical looks fine for me. I think we don't need to improve that a lot. Let's make it 320. Let's hit OK. And here with the anchor you can set in which direction it should get larger. So let's hit OK, and boom, there we go. The map is way larger now and fits the 2v2 perfectly now, I think. Maybe a bit too large now in the X line, but the vertical line I think looks good. Now what we now need to do is change the border to fit it to the new created map space. You can do that by clicking here on border And now click directly into the green. And now you can drag and, or maybe not. Normally it works. Today it doesn't work. Well, it doesn't matter. We just create a new border. It's okay. Normally it should work. You can just drag and drop the green border. Actually, let's try to do that. Or maybe not. No, we just use the orange. The orange is normally the standard borderline. I don't know why it's green here. I think that's why he selects the orange borderline here. So orange borderline is your border to go. It's a standard border and is also being handled as standard by the game, unless he changed it in the scripts. Let's see. Warehouse. No, he didn't change it in the scripts. You could change it here in the scripts. It's located in, I think, in map. Experience modify. Change the activity area of the map. If you select that, you can here's the boundary orange. That's your standard boundary. And you can select here, for example, green. And with the green one, only the green would be your active border in game when the players play on it. Okay, once we have done that, we have created the orange borderline. I advise to remove the water first. That's the blue border here, that's the water. And when messing around on the map, the water area always gets into your way. You accidentally click on that, don't know why, don't ask. And then you drag and drop the water area accidentally, and we don't like that. By changing that, you just go to View and you go to Show Trigger Areas and you remove that. This way the blue thing will be removed, and now you can change things on your map without having to deal with this annoying water thingy. Now this green border is really annoying me. We can just click and drag and drop it. Click it on the edge, click and drag and drop it. So we don't have to deal with that. By looking on the map, I think it got way too large now. We can try that out. Maybe by placing a few buildings. Let's place down a few command centers. So if we start, for example, here, we have then a war factory there, an airfield there. Maybe there a barracks, another war factory, barracks, supply center, few more supplies drop zones. I think this should be the correct size of a base. Maybe a bit more of that, and boom, there we have it. Now you can scale that better by going to the borders, to the path areas. And for that we need to activate trigger areas again, activate that, and now we can create a block. That's what I like to do. So like that, like that, like that, and like that. And now we have a box. This shows us the size of the player base. And this helps you making a map identical on each edge, so symmetrical, if that's the right pronunciation. So if we just use that and recreate another border on that border, so like that and that and that and that, and then we add that here. By the way, you can if you don't want that thing to happen, you want clear cuts on you want clear placements with your buildings and your trigger areas, you need to check the stick to the grid, snap to grid, Ctrl, Shift and G. If you check that, then you can place the trigger areas way better. We will do that right now. So let's place that one down there and that one down there, there and there. So now that we have done that, we have two trigger areas of the same size, almost the same size. If we drag and drop it to the right corner, don't drag and drop it here from the corner, click on the line. We move that thing here to that space, and we now scroll out. We can see both areas fit into the corners without touching each other. And in the middle we have a little space to maybe do a middle supply or something. Now we repeat the same thing for the top, because the top also needs to look the same. So we need to do the same thing, click, 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 and click. You don't need to do the exact same size, only make it so that's almost the same. You don't need to be too exact with that. We drag and drop that here to the top, and we repeat the same step. So click, 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 and click, and the area will fill out automatically. So let's drag and drop that here to the top right, and then we have all 4 player spots. There we go, all 4 player spots placed. And this should give you this picture. Now we can see that the vertical is really large. This is a large map, large 2v2 map. Maybe we went a bit overboard with the map resizing. But let's see how it turns out. We will see, and let's just continue. Now the buildings we can just remove. We don't need them anymore. Let's remove them. Was only there for the scaling. Okay, the map creator wants to place down one supply on the left and one in the middle. Both teammates can share. I don't really like that idea, but that's what the creator wants. So, okay. Placing it like that is really bad. Because if you place down a supply center there, it's very overpowered for the USA players, because USA just places down a supply center. Let's grab it. USA, America, structure, supply. USA just place it down like that. The choppers, they just go over the water, collect, and fly back. No disadvantage for the USA. The China and the GLA, however, especially the China, they need to. There we have it, China. They need to supply center. They need to place it like that, or maybe like that. And then the supply trucks go all the way here, collect, go back, and that's really annoying. That slows you down big times. Same for the GLA, but GLA not as crippled as China. So this is a huge disadvantage for China. You need to consider that when building your map. Is it fair for USA, China, GLA, or is it giving a disadvantage for one of these 3? So doing it like that, bad idea. So we remove that. Remove the water. If you want to get the same height like that, the flat area here, you go here to the spot with your pencil, with the height brush, and then on the bottom left you can see 48 objects, 0 waypoints, and then there's height. I don't know how to pronounce that. And there is 10, height 10. Now if you go here to height brush options, brush height, there we have size and blah blah blah, and there we have 10 feet. If we change that to, for example, 50, you will get 31.3 feet. If you place that down, and we go here now to the spot with your mouse cursor, we can see on the bottom left, height 31.25. And then we go down. height 10 feet. So this is how you get the exact height of that area. If we select 16 again, that makes 10 feet. We can just flat that area, make it flat. We want it here to remove the water, like that. Water removed. Also keep the areas, you need them to create symmetrical player spawn areas. So the map creator wants these supplies in the edge. I disagree with that. I would place them a little bit away from the corners, so maybe like that, and rotate them a bit. You can rotate them like that, or you go here to the angle in your object properties. Here's the angle, and if you type in, for example, 45 0 0, it will give you a clear rotated supply drop dock. Now if you do the same on the right, of course we need to remove the water here. Also the water area, because we changed the map size, is not touching that area, so that's why we don't have any water. If you would reposition the water, we could see that we would be able to see that the water is filling up the holes. We can do that right now, so let's resize the water like that and like that. Also, yeah, this is going to be a very long video. Just skip the parts which you find boring and skip to the parts which you find interesting. It's just a video for the new mappers who want to find out how to get started, how to improve. Okay, so we do that here with the same supply drop, and we make it minus 45. And we place it a bit like that. Remove the water. Boom, there we go. Okay, so that is identical now on both player spots. Now the map creator obviously wants water around these supply docks. He wants the water, so let's find a way how to give him the water he wants. We could do that by maybe going here to 0 feet height and brush white maybe 5, and then maybe doing something like that. If we do that, you need to consider, is this friendly for all factions, or is this giving China and GLA a disadvantage and USA an advantage? USA has Comanches and China has helixes, so GLA would get a little disadvantage here because helixes and Comanches can hide here on that water, but it's not that large, the water spot, so it should be okay doing it like that. I don't like to do that, but I want to acknowledge the fact that the map creator wants water there. The way he placed it was not good, so if we do it like that, all three factions, China, USA and GLA, can harvest from that supply dock without gaining a disadvantage with their collectors. So we just keep it like that. It looks a bit weird, but this will change once we have added the map and added a bit more terrain. Speaking of the terrain, this is a very ugly terrain, just saying. I would advise to select a different one. We right now here, if you go to the eyedropper, you click on the terrain, it will instantly show you which terrain you have selected, and we have a snow, flat, grass, large type, 1 snow. I wouldn't choose that, it looks very, very ugly. I would choose something from the grass accent. There are also some very ugly ones in there. For example, that one is really ugly big times. That's also pretty ugly. We want something which don't stick out so much and screams for I'm ugly as fuck. So maybe something like that. That looks okay. That's a good base to start with. It does not hurt the eyes so much. Okay, once we have done that and our eyes are not bleeding from watching the map, we can continue. We will add water on all 4 spawning points. So we take a look at how we did it. We did it like that. We created a little C around the supply dock. We do that exact same thing for all the other starting locations. I advise to go into the bird view. This way you know what to cut out. You can also see there's a little amount of water and there's a small amount of water. So you can still see the water when playing the match. Otherwise it would look a bit weird if there's land and land goes out of map boundaries. So let's do a little C thing like that. I think that should be fair. Remove that because here we have the water. Water. I could also make the white larger and don't have to click a lot like that. Okay, now we do it for the top right, where no supply dock is located. We need to change that here as well. So let's drag and drop that here to the top. Rotate 45. Remove that. 16, 10 feet. Water removed. Water removed. Drag and drop that here to the top left and minus 45 on the angle. Okay, now choose that one again, 0 feet, and put some water in, doing the C around that supply like that. Same thing on the top right. There we go. Should be fair for all 4 sides now. And now we can increase the white, maybe to 20, and just go nuts here. Okay. So if you look at the bird view, we can see it looks symmetrical on all 4 edges where the player spawned. Now let's take on the middle part. The map creator wants that we have one supply which both players on the left and the right share, and all have oil directs. This looks like a very bunkerish map, 4 oil directs and 2 to grab in the middle. It would destroy the fun after a few games because you have so much money on the map and really it's not really fun. But if you want it, okay, I mean on Tournament Island you have it as well and it works perfectly fine there, so it debunks my my statement there. So okay, let's give those players 2 Elrics, whatever. I wouldn't place them there right next to each other because one artillery strike will destroy all of them. Maybe also position them a bit closer to the spawning point, maybe like that, and maybe the other one here on the top. We can do that in the bird view, this way we can see it better. Now the problem here is if you place it like that, it will get unfair because the player spawn here, for example, and he will have a shorter walking range towards that oil rack, like for example that guy where the oil rack is accidentally placed there, or maybe, oops, maybe somewhere around here, and there's your command center. This guy walks 7 seconds towards that oil rack, while this guy only walks like 5 or 6 seconds towards that oil rack. So that's unfair, and that's why I like to draw some markers with the trigger area. I start at the edge, and remember we still have the snap to grid on, so we can draw the trigger areas better. We start here in the corner, we go to the top where the oil rack is located, we click here right next to it, then go somewhere around here, and then go here. Now I want that this line is matching the oil rack. So something like that. Like that maybe. Like that. If you see the line disappearing, you know that you have a straight line without any edges inside. Okay, so this is the scaling, and this is the distance from the edge towards that oil and that oil. And each oil touches the line. If we now pick that, we drag and drop the box. It's a bit tricky in the bird view. We drag and drop it to the right and match it with the edge like that. Now we have here the line and we have here the line. We drag and drop the oil rack to directly that line, like here. And maybe a bit down there, and then we take the other oil and locate it here, somewhere like that. Now this should be a bit more symmetrical. The walking distance should be the same now, and then we continue. We drag and drop that box, drag and drop it to the top, and continue the same thing with these oil racks. So like that, we match the line around here, and we match the line around there. Okay, now for the last spot, drag and drop and place it down here. Drag and drop these oil racks. Now this is very advanced stuff, but I like to show it in the beginning because most maps are bad because they are not symmetrical, and people don't like to gain a disadvantage because the spot is shitty. For example, on Final Crusade, the bottom right spot is very overpowered compared to the top left spot, because the top left spot is very, very big, the continent there, and you have to walk a very large distance towards your oil racks, while the bottom right has a smaller distance towards the oil rack, and so on and so on. So having identical maps is good. So with the symmetric thingy here, that's why I like to show this advanced strategy in the beginning, so you don't make these mistakes with all your beginner maps. Okay, now that we have done that, we can erase that trigger area. We don't need that anymore, but we still need that trigger area. Don't delete that. Now that all 4 players have oil racks on their starting location and it's symmetrical, it's the same on every starting location, we can look at the supply. So if we would acknowledge the fact that the map creator wants that both players share one supply, we would put it here in the middle. We can see it very good here with the 2 trigger areas, the 2 starting areas of the 2 players, and this is the middle between both players. So both players have the same walking distance towards that supply there. Now one supply is not that much. We can take Fallen Empire, for example. We have one safe, one unsafe supply, one on the bottom, one on the top, where the fights are happening. Maybe we could do that. I would advise to do that. So let's change that. We will drag and drop that supply, put it down at the bottom. Fallen Empire is an often played map, and there's a reason why people often play that, because it's pretty much fun there with the 4 supply docks for each for both teams, and the fact that there's a safe and unsafe supply. So let's recreate the same thing here. Maybe rotate the supply dock a bit, 90 degree, so it is located like that, and put another one here on the top. If you are searching for a supply dock, you can find it here at the 3 arrows, the Place Object tab. You go to Civilian. So if we have Civilian there, it's a very large tab. Here, Civilians. It's this is how it looks. You go to Civilian, you go to Structures, you scroll all the way down to Supply, and there you have the supply dock. Place it and choose the location where you want to place it. So we want another 90 degree. But then thinking about this again, I think 90 degree look ugly, so we make it 45. Looks not so ugly as 90 degree, I think, in my opinion. Okay, so we have a safe and an unsafe supply. And now if I look at the scaling of the map again, I think we hit the right vertical here. So let's do that same thing on the top. You can select the supply dock, hit Ctrl and C for copy and paste, copy and paste Ctrl and V. Drag and drop it here to the top. Boom. There we go. There. Both supplies are placed down. Maybe let's make that minus 45 degree, like that, and that also minus 45. And let's drag and drop it here to the top, right there. All right. So we look at that picture again. We have the oils at the same exact position for each spawn. We have the supplies between both players, both teammates, and they are at the same walking distance from each command center. And now we can go to the tricky part. I go out of the bird view and relook at the map. We can see the map creator has placed a few cliffs down here. I think this was an attempt of the map creator to create hills. I know that I was very bad with creating hills in my starting area. How do I say that? When I got started with creating maps, I was very bad with mountains, so I think this is the first attempt of the map creator. Let's erase them just completely and do something else with cliffs. 10 feet. Okay, like that. He also placed down a few objects here. We get back to that once we have placed the mountains. Let's first erase these. He also placed a bush there. It was a testing object, I think. He wants to create 2 more oil derricks in the middle. I think this gives the map way too much money, so I would delete those. Oil refinery is fine though. but maybe let's use one. Make it a bit more challenging for both teams and place it between those two supply docks. So we have a little fight. If you go into the bird view, you can place it down pretty precisely, like that. He also wants to place it in a building. That's alright. 2 buildings. We do something with that later. He also wants to have some drop zones. I think this gives the map way too many tag buildings, but let's leave them in for now. Oops, I rotated it. There. Building. Also, you place down 4 drop zones. I think that is an overkill, so let's delete 2. Don't overkill it with the tag buildings. Tag buildings are fine, but if you place too many, it's an overkill. Let's delete these areas because they look ugly. Okay. Now let's do something with the terrain so it does not look so empty and boring. We have a starting position here at the bottom left. Let's place down the command center there so we get an idea of how it looks with the scaling. For that we choose the China command center, for example. Go into the bird view with Ctrl and F, or you click on view and go into the bird view. Change show from top down view, click that. And then we place that thing. Should start somewhere around there. Now we have the same problem again. We need to create an area from the supply dock, make it a box with straight lines. This is a straight line. This is not a straight line because of all the stuttering there. So let's make it a straight line like that. This is a straight line too. And let's match the command center edges. This is a straight line now as well, and that is a straight line as well. So this is our distance from the supply dock towards the command center. We keep that in mind, place down the command center, drag and drop the trigger area and move it to the right. Move it here to the starting supply, and now you can place down your command center. If you do it with snap to grid, Ctrl, Shift and G, you can place down your command center very precisely. If you don't know where the grid is, you can activate the grid, but I would not advise that because it looks ugly as fuck. Show wireframe 3D view. That's the grid, and trust me, you will get a really big eye bleeding from that, so we turn that off again. But that's the grid which we stick our buildings to. If you like to work with that, it's fine with you, fine with me, but I would not advise to use that. Okay, we have placed down that command center. Let's continue and redo that for the other 2 teams. Of course, if you are creating a 1v1 map, this is not taking so long. Now this is a 2v2 map, so we obviously have a lot more work to do to make it symmetrical. Okay, maybe like that. Sometimes a bit tricky to find the right edges here. I think that's okay. Place your command center, and yeah, continue with the next player spot. Like that. Okay. Let's create a command center. There we go. Okay, now we have placed 4 command centers. We can delete that area again. We don't need that anymore. Now that we have the command centers, we need to place the starting positions. You place down the starting position of a player with the waypoint tool. Place down the waypoint where the object icon is. You have this little black thingy there. If we go into the view, here, this is the black thingy. You need to place down your waypoint on exact the same location. So if you go to the bird view, place it down there. Should look like that. Once you have placed it down, you go and select that waypoint, click on the arrow here on the right in the waypoint options, and there we have player 1 start, player 2 start, player 3 start, player 4 start. Click on player 1 start. Actually, let's make it player 3. So we have player 3 now here on the top right. Continue the same step with the other 3 locations where the player should spawn. Here's player 4. So we have team 3, player 3 and 4 on the top. We have player 1 and 2 on the bottom. Player 1, player 2. Oops. Player 2. Okay, now we have placed down all 4 starting positions. Let's get a bit of an idea how this base will look like. We place down the China base. This will help us creating the terrain and the environment. So let's choose the supply center. I think it will look something like that. Yeah, the trucks beside that. There will be a power plant, and there will be a war factory, maybe 2, and maybe an airfield, and more power plants. There will be a propaganda center for sure, internet center maybe, few Gatling cannons, bunker, barracks, something like that, and maybe a nuke. So this should be pretty much the base, or maybe a bit more scattered, something like that maybe. So this is pretty much the idea of a base, how it should look like or could look like. And considering this placement, we can start now with the terrain. If you don't do that with the scaling, you will end up creating mountains where mountains shouldn't be. Also, if you want to have AI on the map, giving them not much space to build on, you will mess up the build out of the AI. Also consider saving. Save a lot. It happened to me a lot that the PC crashed and all my work was deleted, and this is very frustrating and can lead to a rage quit, which I have done several times, so I know what I'm talking about. Good. Now we go to terrain. We have placed a bit of water. Don't overdo it with the water. Water should not be used so much because it gives advantage for those teams who have planes or helicopters, and GLA gains a disadvantage. Same with the mountains. Don't do too many mountains. Keep it simple. This looks pretty much a bit like Fallen Empire, but like I said in the beginning, I wanted to look a bit like Fallen Empire because that map is played often and we can use that to make another great map. Now we could do it like Fallen Empire and do a cliff here, but I think that would be too much copy pasted. We want to make that supply very safe for the bottom team. By accomplishing that, we can use the height brush and we draw a little mountain. Let me think. Yeah, that would be exactly like Fallen Empire if I do it like that. How could we do it that it looks good? Well, we could draw a mountain, that's no problem to do. So let's use the brush weight, 20 is okay, and let's make it 50 feet tall should be okay. Let's make it 65 feet tall, and give that a bit of space. Okay, now I need to be careful how I place it so it does not look like a Fallen Empire clone. I don't want to create a Fallen Empire clone like exactly the same map. Right now it looks like it, and we don't want to have that. But we want to have that the supply down the bottom is safe. Yeah, this is all a question of design. You can pretty much do what you like. You can maybe do it like that and do something like this and continue that here on the right. Be careful here with the buildings that you don't delete too much of the spawning area of the player. You could do something like that, and once you have done that, this should be a good space. You can do the exact same thing on the top. You could now use another trigger area to do this exact same scaling for the top. I mean, we can do that now. There's the trigger area. Let's do that now. Then go into the bird view. You can also see that the right is a bit larger than the left. Let's do the correct scaling. Let's make it correct. That's the size of the left. Now let's compare those two. Actually, the left is larger than the right. So let's make that smaller like that. Drag and drop to the left. It's all how you like it. You can do it like you want. Actually, now it's the same size. Strange. We keep that box. We do another box. Starting at the border. Going to the top, to the right, to the bottom, and let's make it a box. With straight lines. And now in the box we create boxes. So box. You will see why in a bit. If you make it like that and then use another box like that. Okay, that is the box thingy. We select all of that. I think it's getting difficult to select all of that. Let's try. Uncheck that. Press and hold Shift, and this way you can uncheck these dots. Actually, let's do it that way. Click that while you press and hold Shift, or no, let me check. Okay, you cannot select both trigger areas. That's of course bad, but it should be alright. We now have done the right scaling. We now use that thing. We drag and drop it to the top. Like that. It should be the middle. And now we drag and drop those boxes to the top. We're starting with that. Stupid that you cannot drag and drop multiple areas at the same time. That's of course pretty stupid. Like that. Middle part. You can also draw with waypoints. I think in this case waypoints should have been the better choice. But now what's done is done. Drag and drop that to the top. It's just a way to show you how you could do it symmetrical. You don't actually need to do that if you don't want to. Match it like it was before on the bottom. We still have one more, I think. Actually, no. That were all. Good, okay. So this is our scaling, and now we can just fill that out with our height brush option. So go there and just fill it out like you have drawn there. Like that. And this makes it symmetrical. Boom, there we go. Looks very symmetrical here. If I pronounce that right, I have no idea. And now you can delete these trigger areas again, because you have placed down what you wanted to place down, the cliffs, the mountains I mean. Now, how do you place down ramps? I go out of bird view and I click on ramp. It's here, it's that thing, ramp. And you can make the ramp wider with that thingy here. Like for example 60. 60 gives you that ramp. That is very, very small. Let's make it 100. 100 is also a bit small. Let's make it 140. That's a good ramp. We will use that one and we will draw it like that. Can go into the bird view and that gives us this ramp. And do the same thing on the right, like that. Boom, there we go. You have two ramps. You do that for the top, same thing. Okay, I don't want to make that video any more longer because that's really long now. And if you want to get more of the idea of building maps, more insights, I can create more videos if you like. I think this should give you a pretty good insight now how to do these things, how to do it good. Don't place too much, just place that what really is needed. You don't need 6 oil rigs, maybe 4 are enough, or 3 are way good amount of oil rigs. You don't need 6. Also consider the base, that you give the players enough space to build, and yeah, that should be pretty much it. Now you can place down here mountains and water, like what you need, it's okay. And then add in more textures. I mean, this looks very ugly with only one texture. You can place down multiple textures, but if you want, I can explain that in a separate video. I think most people know how to paint. This is pretty much painting. Just use another texture, maybe that thing. Place down a texture here, somewhere like that, something like that. And then you use the auto edge out and it will smoothen that a bit like that. Makes it look a bit more beautiful. Then you can place down trees. You have the grove option. Then you can place down trees here. I think you get the idea. And this is how you continue. I hope this helped you out, especially Spectre Georgi. I hope this helped you out. And this is, like always, your cncHD. Let me know if you want to know more, so I can help you out with that. And that's it for this video. I thank you very much for watching. This was a very long video now. I apologize for that, but I hope I could help you out there. And see you in the next video. Bye bye.